Alright, welcome to episode 2 of the B5 podcast. It is a great, beautiful Friday night, and again, I want to apologize for any audio issues because I got fans going. Recording this on my phone, it's fucking rough and raw. I'm sort of kind of at the end of like a 2-week bender. I've just been getting drunk every night, pretty drunk right now, but I think that that's like the best podcast environment. And, yeah, I'm actually in the process of moving out. I'm moving to Colorado from Minneapolis. It's kind of like the end of a stressful period, but I'm about to begin a new stressful period, so we're kind of in the middle. We're in this little gray area. And, yeah, I gotta say, too, that, 2-week bender where I've just been getting fucked up every night has not helped my situation at all. In fact, I'd say it's made it worse, but it is what it is, and it's led to some interesting nights. 2 nights ago, I watched Eight-Legged Freaks, which is a, dare I say, an anti-capitalist masterpiece. Just a great movie. And if you don't know what Eight-Legged Freaks is, you might not, because it's not like it's a huge movie. It was kind of popular when it came out, early 2000s. I think it was 2002 is when it came out, but I was a really little kid, and I watched that movie hundreds of times when I was growing up. I had the VHS tape, and I fucking wore it out. And yeah, it's one of my favorite movies of all time. Unironically, I give it a 10 out of 10. It is great. It didn't get great reviews or anything. It's kind of just like a cheesy, B, monster movie. The main dude is David Arquette, who was in, Scream and... Scream, he was in Scream. Anyway, David Arquette's a fucking cool dude. David Arquette's the man. And, he portrays himself in that movie. I'd just say he's just playing himself. The hero that kills the spiders and saves the town. He's also an anarcho-socialist, easily. Yeah, so anyway, I'll run through the goddamn, if I can fucking talk. I did not think I was this drunk. I'll run through the plot real quick. But, this is, alright. This is Eight-Legged Freaks, alright? So the movie opens, and it's this trucker, and he's, transporting these chemicals. And he's, kind of goofy. You get the feeling he's kind of a zany guy, and he's, on the phone or something, or he's, eating food. And then a rabbit runs across the road. And he swerves, he's like, oh fuck this rabbit, and he swerves, and one of the barrels, the toxic barrels, rolls off the truck and goes into a pond. Well, it just so happens at that pond, this guy's, getting food for his spiders, and so the chemicals, contaminated these crickets that he feeds his spiders. So for some fucking reason, this, 10-year-old boy is going out to this dude's spider farm, and it's, this very off-putting relationship between an older man and a young boy, and they're, kind of touching each other, and it's definitely weird, but I guess they're he's a good dude. The Spider-Man's a good guy. And anyway, he's telling Joshua's the spider guy. He's telling Mike, who's the kid, about each spider, and he's kind of foreshadowing how the spiders are gonna kill people, and it's kind of a cool little scene. And anyway, so Mike leaves, and the spider guy feeds the spiders these things, and then the spiders get loose and attack them, and they overrun them. And it's kind of a funny scene because he's ooh, and it's all these fucking CGI spiders are just supposedly crawling all over him. Anyway, spiders kill him, he dies. Fast forward, this dude's rolling into town, and he's on this bus, and he just looks like a big fucking loser, and you guessed it, that's the goddamn hero, motherfucker. He is the coolest fucking guy on the planet. When I was a kid, I wanted to be this guy. And he rolls in with this song it's by a band that made one song, and it's the best fucking song you'll ever hear in your life. It's called Dim Memory by Soul Circle, and the only place you can find it is a shitty YouTube video. It's amazing. And so this song plays as this dude rolls into town, fucking loser, coming back after 10 years of being gone. And so he goes to his aunt's house or something, and she's running this mining company that his dad used to run, but it's failing, and she's having to lay people off and stuff, and he's no, I'm back, I'm gonna reopen the mines and save everybody. I'm gonna save the town. I'm Chris McCormick, the baddest motherfucker in the universe. And it turns out he left town because, oh wait, okay, I gotta stay focused on the plot. So anyway, we get introduced to him. He's like, I'm gonna reopen the mines, blah blah blah. Cut to, they're like cleaning the barrel out of the pond or something, and this cop is in the water like taking the barrel out. And he's kind of like a doofus. He's kind of a goofy guy. He's like the deputy, and then the sheriff is like the super hot chick, and she's like, she's another main character. So she's the sheriff and it's the deputy, and they're the only two cops in town. And she has two kids. One was the spider guy, or the Mike, the guy that was visiting the spider guy. And she catches him on his way out to see the spider guy, and she doesn't like him hanging out with that older man unsupervised. And I don't blame her one bit, because that's fucking weird. So anyway, she picks him up in her car and starts driving back to town while the other cop's stuck dragging the barrel out of the water. And that guy just gets bitch work the whole movie. It's kind of funny. But anyway, they're like driving. And then there's these guys on motorcycles. And then they're like doing wheelies and stuff. And the sheriff lady's like, oh my god, I don't like them doing fucking wheelies on this road. So she like whips a hard U-turn. Fucking pops on the siren. She's like, phew! Fucking drives up behind him, pulls all these motorcycle guys over, gets out of the car. Turns out one of the people on the bike, it's her daughter. Fucking Scarlett Johansson. Only famous person in the movie. And then, oh wait, David Arquette's in it, but he's not that famous anymore. Anyway, I'm getting off track. So then she gets out of the car and all the bikers are like, oh my god, the sheriff's super hot. And it's like, what the fuck, these guys shouldn't be saying that. But they say it anyway because it's 2002 and anything goes. And so anyway, she takes her daughter off the bike, tells her to get in the car with her weird brother. So then the brother and the daughter are in the squad car and they're arguing. And the mom sheriff gives Scarlett Johansson's boyfriend a ticket for speeding. And then he's like, what do you guys... Because like the two friends he's with are kind of douchebags and they're laughing at him. And then the mom's like, you guys need to be safe, whatever. She gets back in her car, drives off. And so the motorcycle dude that's dating Scarlett Johansson is the son of the town's mayor. So then it cuts to this meeting at this mall. And apparently this mayor guy like got this mall built in this like small ass town, but it's like a huge ass mall and everybody hates it because it was like a waste of money and nobody's ever there. So he's having this town meeting in this empty mall. And it's like a pretty dramatic scene. Anyway, there's like the mines under town that Chris McCormick, the hero, owns. They like run all over the town, like underneath the entire city. And so this corporation wants to buy the mines or whatever because they're going out of business anyway. And so they're going to pay to buy all the mines under the town, but then the entire town would have to relocate. And so then unexpectedly Chris showed up, and he hadn't, like the mines had been out of business for like 10 years or whatever. And so this guy's like, oh, we can just sell them. We don't have to have the ownership's permission, blah, blah, blah. The mayor's kind of like a get-rich-quick, like, schemy asshole. This is where the anti-capitalist message comes into play, alright? Because the villain isn't the spiders. It's this fucking mayor, alright? And so anyway, he's trying to do that. Chris shows up. He's like, I'm not selling the mines. We're going to reopen it. We're going to employ the town. We're going to keep it local, baby. And the mayor's like, fuck that. We got to, like, fucking sell this shit. And then Chris is like, I'm not selling. Walks out like a badass. Walks into the parking lot. The town meeting's up in arms. They're like, hell yeah, that guy kicks ass. And then the mayor's like, oh, Chris, wait up. We got to talk about this. And he's like chasing him out into the parking lot. And Chris is like, dude, I'm not selling. Get away from me. End of story, man. Back off. I'm warning you. And then Wade's like, oh, listen here, brother. And he's talking about his dad. And he says some shit like, your dad was crazy at the end anyway. He didn't know what he was talking about. Obviously over the line. So then Chris turns around, fucking clocks the mayor in the fucking face. The sheriff runs over. He's like, hey, you got to knock that off. And he, like, pretends to arrest him, you know, until the mayor leaves. And the mayor's like, I'm pressing charges against him, blah, blah, blah. She's like, go home, Wade. The mayor's name's Wade, by the way. So anyway, the fucking Wade leaves like a little pissy bitch. And the sheriff is like arresting Chris. Turns out they have history. Alright, they knew each other before. Maybe that's why he left town. Foreshadowing a little bit. The dopey sheriff guy has a funny line or whatever. So anyway, the town meeting adjourns. Everybody kind of leaves. It's the next day. I'm kind of jumping around here. I don't know if I remember this exactly. But anyway, the kid goes to that spider farm. He, like, sneaks out. Chris goes over to the sheriff lady's house and tries to, like, apologize for something he had done in the past, and it's like implied that something happened with her husband and him, like they got in a fight or something, and that's why he left town. And anyway, whatever, he talks to Gladys about it. Gladys is the aunt, by the way, that he talked to in the beginning. I'm sorry, this is so unfocused and kind of fucking fucked up, but like, anyway, long story short, Spider-Boy sneaks out while Chris is over talking to the mom at the sheriff lady's house. And anyway, the kid goes to the spider farm and finds it's like all webby, and like finds Joshua's shoe, and then sees like a big spider leg that just is like laying on the ground. He's like, oh my god, the spider's grown to massive size. Anyway, Chris leaves the sheriff mom's house. He goes to his mines, and there's a little scene where he's talking to the miners he's employing, and he's like, alright, the mines are full of methane gas, so like put on your masks and be safe, everybody. Very pro-labor, very union, very anti-capitalist, alright? Because they're in it for the good of the town, people. And anyway, so Chris leaves the mine and runs into the kid that's at the spider farm, and he sees this big spider leg, and the kid's like explaining to Chris that the spider leg means that these spiders have grown to massive size, and he thinks Joshua's dead. Obviously, Chris is like, man, this kid's fucking crazy. I don't believe a word he's saying. I'm just going to take him home to his hot mom that I'm trying to bang. So he brings the kid home, and the mom's like, oh my god, you're in trouble, like, for sneaking out. Can't believe you've done this. Blah, 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 it's the TV. You're fucking insane. So then, anyway, events transpire, and it cuts to Wade's farm. And Wade is the town mayor again, and he lives on a fucking ostrich farm, which also is another failed, like, investment. Somehow the town's invested in it. I wasn't really sure how that happened, but, like, apparently the town is invested in his ostrich farm that he lives on. And so he's on the phone with this business call, and if you listen to the business call, it's kind of like a throwaway line, but, like, it's kind of funny because it explains, like, how the chemicals were on that truck and why they were there. Turns out he's been illegally transporting and storing chemicals, so he's the whole reason that the fucking spider attack even happens. Again, he is the actual villain of the film. He's cutting, like, regulations. He's building, like, fucking shitty malls, monuments to capitalism that everybody hates. And he's, like, doing all these shitty things, shitty business practices, whatever, and he keeps screwing everybody over. Anyway, his son, who was the motorcycle guy that's dating Scarlett Johansson's like, hey Dad, I'm gonna leave, I'm gonna go out. And Dad does not fucking care, he's on a business call, alright? He's like, get the fuck out of my house. Doesn't say that, but he basically does. And then, the kid's like, pretty upset that his dad doesn't really care what he's doing. So anyway, the kid leaves, he's kind of pissed off. And then, the dad guy, Wade, the mayor, I keep calling him different things, but it's the same guy. Anyway, he walks outside because he hears, like, his ostriches freaking out. Turns out these spiders are coming out of the ground and, like, snatching him up. It's a really cool scene. And he's like, what the fuck's going on? And then it kind of, like, cuts away from that. And then, anyway, it's like, I think it's another day, because that was at night. So it's been, like, a day, and these spiders have progressively gotten bigger kind of behind the scenes. And, I don't know. I'm explaining things too much. Basically, alright, this is, like, probably one of the coolest scenes in cinematic history. So, it's the next day or whatever, and Scarlett Johansson's like, oh, I'm gonna go hang out with my boyfriend. And the mom's like, here, take this taser. And she's like, oh, no, he's not like that, he's a good guy. And she's like, no, I know what it's like, blah, blah, blah. And Scarlett Johansson's like, I'm not gonna get pregnant at 16 like you. And it's like this completely uncalled for rant against her mom, who's actually been pretty nice up to this point. Except for embarrassing her in front of her friends, but, like, you know, risking their lives on motorcycles. You know, I can't blame her. Anyway, fucking Scarlett Johansson leaves with the boyfriend dude. I don't remember what fucking happens with the sheriff lady and Chris and stuff. And anyway, Scarlett Johansson and the boyfriend are, like, making out in this dude's truck, like, out in the middle of the desert. She's like, oh, I don't want to have sex. And he's like, oh, come on, baby. But you can tell he's clearly influenced by his fucking shitty father, and he's feeling, like, incompetent as a person. So kind of actually, like, a very in-depth character, which is pretty interesting. And so then anyway, they're, like, argue, and Scarlett Johansson tases him, and he, like, pisses his pants and, like, rolls out of the truck. She drives off, and he's like, oh man, this fucking sucks. And then he looks at the horizon line. What's over the hill? Fucking jumping spiders. Holy shit, they, like, sneak up over the hill. He's like, ah, and he runs screaming to his friends at this abandoned gas station. It's like where the motorcycle gang hangs out, and they're all, like, hanging out there, and he runs up and he's like, oh my god, guys, we gotta get the fuck out of here, there's fucking huge ass spiders. And then they're like, did you piss your pants? Right as they start laughing at him, fucking jumping spider comes, nails one of the douchebag friends, fucking eats him in front of everybody, and he's like, ah, it's pretty fucking brutal. Anyway, fucking son-in-law hops on a motorcycle, all these guys hop on their motorcycles, they get the fuck out of there, they're running away from all these jumping spiders. Wham, 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 the jumping spiders are nailing these dudes on their motorcycles one by one. Not the fucking son-in-law, that dude's a bad motherfucker, he gets away, he's leading the pack. And this is like the coolest sequence in the whole movie. So he goes off a jump, a jumping spider jumps up, he kicks the jumping spider mid-fucking air, kills it, lands the fucking motorcycle, rolls like across the road in front of a semi-truck or whatever. All the jumping spiders like end up like kind of running into this tanker truck. Flip it over, the thing explodes, and he's like, holy shit, this fucking rocks. Like, he even was like, hell yeah, in this movie, even though he just witnessed a guy fucking die, he's like, hell yeah. All of his friends died, and he's like, fuck yeah. And it was like just this really cool, like, pure octane fucking moment. And he's like sitting there watching this truck burn and seeing all the spiders burn. He's like, fuck yeah, dude, I fucking did it. And then slowly through the flames, more jumping spiders come, and he's like, oh shit, I gotta get out of here. So then he ends up, like, kind of running his bike into the mines, like, just an abandoned mine shaft, because there's fucking abandoned mine shafts everywhere. Everybody in this town's tripping over abandoned mine shafts. Anyway, whatever, he ends up in this abandoned mine shaft with his motorcycle, and he's, like, riding around the mine shaft, which is the spider lair, by the way, which I should have mentioned. Like, the spiders basically occupy this mine shaft that runs under the entire town, so they're, like, all over the place instantly. And oh shit, this guy just rode his motorcycle into the heart of the fucking beast, man. Anyway, this is where shit kind of kicks into gear, because the first, like, I'd say, like, the first, I don't know, maybe even, because the movie's only, like, an hour and 40 minutes, and I gotta say, like, the first hour is just build up, and it's actually, like, like, they do a really good job of setting up these complex characters and relationships. It's kind of like cliche stuff, but it's, like, very well done, in my opinion. And, anyway, so, this is where it kicks into fucking gear, because, Chris goes down to his mine, or, no, what am I saying? It's his aunt's house, and the aunt goes down into the basement, because the dog ran down there, her dog ran down there, and there's spiders in the basement. They, like, tunneled in from the mines into her basement or whatever, so there's, like, just a spider hole that her dog gets sucked in. She follows the dog, she's like, oh my god, I gotta save my dog. Spiders fucking kidnap her, web her up, drag her off into the mines. Chris comes home, sees that something's amiss because, her stuff's all over the counter, but she's not there. He walks into the basement, sees the fucking huge hole. He's like, holy shit, this is not good. He kind of sees that it leads into the mines. He's like, oh, I'm not going in there. But then he finds a huge-ass spider leg, just like the one that Mike had found earlier, but it's actually, like, way bigger. He races over to the sheriff lady's house. He's like, Mike. And the sheriff lady's like, what's going on? He's like, Mike, look at this. And then Mike's like, whoa, that's huge, blah, blah, blah. And he takes measurements and puts it in his shitty little 2002 computer. And it shows, like, how big the spiders have gotten. And Mike and Chris are kind of having this, like, locked-in conversation, which is funny because they're just blowing off the mom. And it's, like, it's actually kind of a funny little scene. But anyway, so they're, like, and they're freaking out about it. And Scarlett Johansson's in her room, and she's like, blah, 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 talking to her friend on the phone. Spider opens up her window, crawls into the room. She's, like, speechless. She's like, what the fuck? It goes right up to her face, and then she screams, and then everybody runs into her room, and it's, like, this chaotic, like, scramble to, like, stop this spider from webbing her. She's, like, stuck against the wall being webbed, and Chris is like, fuck, I gotta fight this thing with a chair. So he's, like, fighting the spider off with a chair, and the mom runs in. She's, like, smashing her gun case, gets out a shotgun. And then he's like, Chris gets the chair knocked away from him. He's like, scissors, give me the scissors. And then Mike throws the scissors to him. He catches the scissors like a bad motherfucker, but then his hand gets webbed to the wall as he catches it. And so then him and Scarlett Johansson are getting webbed to the wall by the spider. Mom comes in, blows the spider's fucking head off. It's like this ooey gooey green shit. Fucking badass scene. Anyway. Super cool. And then, like, this is where shit gets into gear. Like, the whole town slowly becomes, like, under attack. And, they're like, oh, we gotta get, like, all the guns. So the sheriff lady's, like, calls the deputies, like, get all the guns, get a police car, get over to my house now. So then, The sheriff dude rolls up, there's spiders chasing him, he's kind of oblivious as to what's going on. He ends up taking these spiders to the house. Spiders are on the roof, they're on top of his car, he like shoots one on the roof of his car and it like leaks ooze onto his face, it's kind of funny. So then they walk outside when he shows up and they're like, oh shit, there's spiders here. So then she shoots the spider off the car and the guy's like, what the fuck? And then there's 2 spiders on the roof and Chris is like, get down, and he fucking shoots them. It's so cool. They run to the car, they get in the police car and they're driving through town. And there's like fucking chaos everywhere and they're like, we need to get a message out, we gotta tell everybody to get to the mall because there's like reinforced concrete and it's safe in the mall that everybody hates. So then they end up going out to this like conspiracy theorist radio broadcast. By the way, the phone lines are down, I forgot to mention that. When the truck blew up, it knocked down the phone lines, so they have no communication, they're cut off. The conspiracy theorist radio show, which I also forgot to mention, has been like a side character up to this point. But they want to get a message out over the radio all over town, so they go to his place. He's broadcasting out of a trailer, and he's like a conspiracy theorist. He's like, oh, aliens are coming, blah, blah, blah. So then they're like, no, it's giant spiders, and they're like trying to explain the situation to him. He's like, man, that's fucking crazy, even though it's like more real than what he believes, which is kind of funny. But anyway, this huge-ass spider comes and like knocks over the trailer as they're broadcasting all over town, and everybody just thinks it's a joke, you know, like the usual broadcasts. But eventually they like see people getting attacked outside. It's like in this diner or whatever in town. So then all the residents are like, holy shit, we gotta get to the mall. And so then this like big spider comes and knocks over the trailer they're broadcasting in, and it's kind of this little like cool escape scene. And anyway, they get away, so they're back driving through town. They're gonna go to the mall and like meet everybody at the mall. They're driving through town, and as they're driving through town, the kid's like naming off the spiders as they're like murdering all these innocent people. He's like, rack attack, jumping spider, blah blah blah. And it's like, kid, are you not aware that you're witnessing like the death of like thousands of innocent people in your town? And I thought that was kind of stupid. But anyway, yeah, it's like this whole sequence of like people getting attacked and escaping and like these little side characters. You know, eventually everybody kind of makes it to the mall that's gonna live. They lock themselves inside, and then the fucking dumbass mayor, he decides to lock everybody in the mall behind him and escape into the mines, which is actually the spider lair. He runs into his son in the tunnels, and his son's like, what the fuck are you doing down here? And his dad's like, what the fuck are you doing down here? And they're like talking about the spider attack. Whatever. And then anyway, Wade ends up getting dragged off by spiders, and finally you're like, fuck yeah, this guy's gonna get what he deserves and die. And then the son guy takes his dirt bike and rides it to the door that was locked that leads to the mall. And he's like, I gotta get into this mall, but I don't know what to do. So anyway, the townspeople are in the mall, and the sheriff lady's like, alright, we gotta loot this place to arm ourselves. So everybody's like grabbing weapons and stuff and like looting stores, which is pretty based. And then like they're like, oh, we gotta get a call off, does anybody have a cell phone? And since it's 2002, only one dude has like a cell phone. So they take that dude's cell phone, and Chris is like, I volunteered to climb the tower, I'll do it. And he keeps trying to tell the sheriff lady how he really feels and why he left town all those years ago, and he keeps getting cut off, and it's like, damn, he almost had it. And then the son's like, here, take this perfume, it might come in handy because it can distract the spiders. Kind of a little throwaway scene, but it's important later. Anyway, so then him and the conspiracy show guy, who's actually a really cool dude, they end up becoming like BFFs and stuff, and he's like, don't worry, man, I got your back. Cocks a shotgun, fucking cool. Him and the Chris and the conspiracy show guy head up to the roof, and then they're like climbing this tower, and it's actually a really funny scene. It's like really well done, and there's like these little things, like Chris is about to climb up the tower, and he's like, oh, do you have the cell phone? The conspiracy theorist guy's like, no, man, I gave it to you. He's like, no, I don't have it. And he's like, well, I don't have it. And then he like checks his pockets. He's like, oh wait, never mind, I got it right here. And it's like, why was there a 30-second scene of that? Like, that was so pointless. But anyway, so like the spiders kind of start climbing up on the roof, and the conspiracy show guy's like blasting them with a shotgun. And Chris gets up and he gets the call out, and they're like, hello, 911, whatever. He's like, we need the military. This is gonna sound crazy, but it's not a prank. Our town is under attack by giant spiders. And I gotta say, this whole scene, his line delivery is fucking flawless. It is beautiful. He's like, you're killing us! You're killing us! And he hangs up the phone, or he gets hung up on, because nobody believes him, so nobody's coming to help. And then they're about to be overrun by spiders, and the conspiracy show guy's like out of bullets. He's like, alright, man, I'm just gonna make a run for it. You get out of here. And then he's like, no, Harlan, no. That's the guy's name, Harlan. So then Harlan jumps off and leads the spiders away, but he just fucking swan dives off the roof. He ends up meeting up with the dopey sheriff who just like, by the way, there's a really cool scene with him because he decides to stay behind and you think he's gonna die, but he ends up escaping. And he's like killing all these spiders, he's like chainsawing their limbs off. And he escapes out this back door right as Harlan lands from the roof. So then they end up meeting with each other. And they get backed into a corner with all these spiders slowly, like, closing in on him. And he's like, all right, well, I say we go back inside. And they're like, yeah. And then the door's locked. He's like, okay, how about we just run away? And he's like, yeah, it sounds like a good idea. So then they run away. And then that's the last you see of them for a while. And then Chris ends up, like, zip-lining into this, like, ventilation shaft. And then conveniently the shaft leads next to the sheriff lady. And then he gets out of the shaft or whatever. And so, like, anyway, he's like, oh, no, I gotta tell you something. And he kind of gets cut off again because they have to escape. So then they get into the storage room with the door that leads to the mines that Wade locked. And the spiders have overrun them all at this point. They're closing in. They're all trapped in the storage room. They're like, all right, we're going to make a last stand. Just then the door comes down. You think it's going to be spiders? Nope, it's the fucking sun. You got a forklift, broke the door down, saves everybody's ass. Scarlett Johansson's like, oh, I forgive you, I love you. And the guy's like, I learned so much about myself being in these mines with the spiders. I'm sorry for the way I acted before. And it's like this redemption moment. You're like, fuck yeah, man, that's a great little arc. Great little B-story arc, you know? And then, anyway, everybody ends up getting, like, kind of going down the mines or whatever. The sheriff lady blocks the door behind them as best she can with the forklift. And they end up getting led into the mines by Chris, who knows the mine layout. So he's, like, leading everybody to safety. He's like, follow these cables, they'll lead to a generator that leads to an exit. We can get out of here. It's also the fucking spider den. So there's tons of fucking spiders in this mine. And every once in a while they kind of get dragged off. But they can't shoot their guns because there's methane gas. So they're, like, crossbowing these spiders and, like, whacking them and shit. And eventually Chris is, like, they find these cocoons. And they open it up and it's like, oh, this guy's still alive. It's fucking Wade, of course. The one fucking asshole who deserved to die, but he's still alive. So they're like, damn. You know, or Chris is like, man, maybe Aunt Gladys could still be alive because she got dragged off not that long ago, you know? Like, she could still be alive, technically. And Mike's like, yeah, it's a possibility, but I wouldn't bet on it. But he's like, no, I'm fucking Chris McCormick. I love people. I gotta take this risk. As an anarcho-socialist, I gotta fucking save the goddamn town. He's like, follow these cables, you guys get the fuck out of here. I'm gonna sacrifice myself one way or another. And he's like, we're gonna blow these mines up and kill all these spiders. If I live or die, it doesn't matter. Just flip the switch and it'll cause a spark that explodes everything. And so then, kind of when he's done giving this cool little, like, self-sacrifice speech, he's like, Sheriff lady, I gotta tell you something, hang on a minute. And then she's like, no, I already know, you beat up my husband because he was cheating on me, and then that's why you left town, because you couldn't tell me how you feel, blah, blah, blah. Your dad told me everything. And that was kind of a cool moment, like, the dad was, like, the fucking man, you know? And Chris is like, my dad told you? She's like, yeah, it's a really cool scene. Anyway, they kind of, like, make out for a minute, but then they have to leave because, like, time is of the essence. So then she runs away, and then Chris is like, dude, give me your motorcycle, Scarlett Johansson's boyfriend. He takes the fucking motorcycle, rides into the heart of the fucking, like, spider den, finds Aunt Gladys alive. She's like, oh my god, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And she tries to, like, light a cigarette. He's like, no, the methane gas, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, they kind of have, like, a funny little, like, family reunion moment. He talks about his dad a little bit. Turns out there's gold on the wall behind him. So his dad was right with the mines. Like, there's gold here, and they're going to be rich, whatever. But he has to blow up the mines to kill these spiders. So it's, like, kind of a bittersweet moment. And just as they're talking, the big fucking queen spider comes in that's been killing people this whole time and eating them. And then he's like, oh, I can't shoot because it's going to blow everything up. Fucking perfume, squirts it in the face. Spider's, like, sneezing and shit. He's like, alright, we gotta get on this fucking bike, let's go. Puts on his helmet. Aunt Gladys takes, like, a football player's helmet. For some reason, there's, like, a fully outfitted football player there. I don't know why. And she's like, I need this more than you. Puts on the fucking football helmet. They get on the bike, and this huge-ass spider's, like, fucking banging on the ceiling of the mine like it's huge. It's this huge spider. It's like the Temple of Doom boulder chase almost. But it's like a motorcycle and a giant-ass spider. It's the coolest shit you'll ever see. And so he's like escaping, and they figured out how to like cause the spark, with this generator. So they flip a switch, it causes a spark. This explosion starts coming as he's on this bike being chased by a spider. So he's being chased by this spider and an explosion. Fucking awesome. The queen spider gets engulfed in flames. The bike gets engulfed in flames, but then it comes out of the mine at the last second. There's a huge fucking fireball. Everybody's like, fuck yeah. Aunt Gladys is like, holy shit, I can't believe it. We fucking lived. And then, right when you think it couldn't get any better, the fucking sheriff and the conspiracy theorist guy went to the next town over, got tons of backup. All the rescue people show up. And all the cops actually listen to the conspiracy guy's show, so they're like big fans. And they're like, alright, where's the aliens? And they're like, no, it's not aliens, it's spiders. Kind of funny. And anyway, they're like really psyched about like seeing cocoons and stuff. So all these cops, go into the tunnels and try and find anybody left alive. But it's just Aunt Gladys. That was the only person that lived. And Chris and the sheriff lady kind of like hug at the end. And she's like, so do you regret coming back? And he's like, not at all. And I'm like, well, are you sure about that? Because you almost fucking, like, half the town's dead. All these fucking spiders destroyed your mine. They killed, like, all your friends, all your mining friends. I find it hard to believe he doesn't regret coming back. But, whatever. Oh, it kicks fucking ass. 10 out of 10. Oh, and by the way, when the mines explode, it blows up the mall. And it's like just a soulless monument to capitalism that the entire town hates getting fucking blown up. And Wade, because he lived, this is the only upside to him living, is that he got to witness his mall being blown up and his like fucking little shitty businesses and shit. So anyway, like the mines blow up, but it's implied at the end that he still reopened them anyway and went back down and like found the gold eventually. So that's kind of cool. There's room for a sequel. I could definitely see a sequel, but it'd be like almost like you could almost make a sequel to it that's not even related to spiders. I don't know, kind of a cool little thing. But the thing I really like about it is that the hero is basically just kind of like a fuck-up loser with a haunted past, and he like kind of corrects some of his mistakes, hooks up with a hot fucking sheriff lady, kind of like rebuilds his town a bit, makes some new friends, rectifies his family setup for some reason. It's like his aunt or whatever, and they kind of like make amends and whatever. But yeah, that's like a 5-minute drunk explanation of Eight-Legged Freaks. I hope you enjoyed that. Alright, the next topic is very important to me. I have to do this at some point, so I might as well do it in episode 2. Alright, Paul McCartney, of Beatles fame, but Paul McCartney just as a solo artist is the fucking best artist ever. He's my number one favorite artist. He is amazing. Wings and Paul McCartney, that is my shit. I like solo Paul McCartney and Wings more than I like the Beatles. It is just amazing. And I gotta just say, like his stretch of albums, like modern era, like from Flaming Pie up to now, like Flaming Pie, Driving Rain, Chaos and Creation, Memory Almost Full, Electric Arguments, New, Egypt Station, and McCartney 3, like those are the best albums ever. Chaos and Creation is my favorite album of all time. Paul McCartney collabed with Nigel Godrich, who's Radiohead's producer, for this like amazingly beautiful, like dark, reflective, nostalgic album. And it's Paul McCartney plays all the instruments, and it is fucking amazing. 10 out of 10, like the best album you'll ever hear. And yeah, Flaming Pie, like all the albums I just named are on the same level, but it's amazing, like the quality of his work. And even going back to Wings, like Red Rose Speedway, Venus and Mars, Band on the Run, obviously. Also all of his 80s stuff, like anything Paul McCartney made in the 80s is objectively better than anything the Beatles made. Like, he has a song called Take It Away off of Tug of War, and it is like one of the fucking best things you'll ever hear in your life. It is like an eargasm. Through Our Love, off of Pipes of Peace in the 80s, that is probably the best song to listen to high ever. It is insane. There's another song off of Tug of War too called Wanderlust. That is also a great song to listen to high. All of his 80s stuff is like grade A stoner material. It is life-changing stuff. And anyway, I just gotta say that, like, Paul McCartney is the best artist of all time. The Beatles are the best band of all time. Don't get me wrong; they're definitely number two. But it's Paul McCartney and Wings, Beatles. That's the top right there. All right, it's one solo Paul McCartney / Wings, two fucking Beatles, hard two, and you know, like, there's a few highly elevated individuals like myself, but just know that I'm right. I'm very right, and you're all wrong. Society, well, they'll come around eventually, I'm sure, but I'm just saying, like, Paul McCartney is the fucking man. And by the way, he just put out a he remixed McCartney 3 with a bunch of artists. Some of the tracks are kind of meh, but like the Beck one is good. Find My Way with Beck, that's a great song. And then he just put out a remix of Long-Tailed Winter Bird with Idris Elba, the fucking actor. And holy shit, it's fucking really good. Like, what the fuck? And it's like a completely different song than the actual song. Like, there's added verses and stuff. Like, I think McCartney must have recorded new stuff because there's these really great verses. And Idris Elba's like rapping, and it's just like this British rapper like tone. It's great. It's great stuff. So that's my Paul McCartney rant. Listen to all of his stuff, especially his like new stuff. Specifically, New would be a great album to start with. It's like a great modern pop album. That was kind of what I think I would have been 13 when that album came out, and that was his first solo album I really got into. I think because I liked him on Facebook, so it was like a promotional shit, but I got really into it for some reason, and that just set me off on like a solo Paul McCartney journey. And I actually saw him on that tour. I was 14 when I saw him, so it would have been like a year after that album came out. Anyway, I'm getting off track. I'm fucking drunk, but yeah, listen to Paul McCartney. Also, I just got to mention too, I mentioned it in the last episode, but I did just release a little EP on Spotify and YouTube. Space Garden, fucking whatever I called it, I don't even remember. Wake Up, yeah, that's it. And it's really good. It's 6 songs. Every track is very good. It serves its purpose. It's kind of structured as like you gotta listen to it kind of straight through. It's only like 14 minutes. It's really good. And yeah, go listen to that. Just looking at my list of topics, Halo Infinite has begun its like beta testing phase. I actually got invited to it, and I think I'm going to be able to play it this weekend. I'm very excited. It looks really cool. It looks like a lot of fun. So yeah, hopefully that works out and I can play it. If I can, I think I'm going to stream it if that's possible, or at least record bits and pieces of it. I'd like to make a main channel. I say main channel like I have any other channels, but I'd like to make a channel. No, what the fuck am I saying? There's no way I'm this drunk. I'd like to make a video on my BoogieBot 5 channel with Halo Infinite, about Halo Infinite. That is correct, and I want that gameplay, so I'm going to try my fucking hardest to get a Halo Infinite gameplay video out. And whether I can or not, I don't know, but I will try my best. I'm actually kind of in a weird spot gaming-wise because, like I mentioned before, I'm moving out, so I've been like packing stuff up. And I haven't really been playing video games a lot lately. I played Stellaris like a little bit with my friend. I've completely halted my Fallout 4 playthrough. I haven't played Fallout 4 for like 3 weeks. I have the Mass Effect Legendary Edition, which I played very intensely for a while, but I've played maybe once in the last 2 weeks. And I'm almost done with it. I'm like maybe a quarter of the way through the 3rd game, but like I'm pretty close, generally speaking. And I haven't made any more progress on that. Haven't played that at all. I actually played Madden 05 and NCAA 05 on an original Xbox because I really love those games. And I have like a whole connected universe because you can import draft classes, so kind of like use my imagination a bit, but I made this whole intricate universe of like players and stuff. And I haven't been able to play that at all because I packed it up. That was like one of the first things I packed up, so kind of not a smart choice because I wanted to play it a couple times, but anyway, I haven't been playing video games a whole lot lately. That's my whole point. And so because I haven't been playing games, I haven't been able to make videos, which also kind of sucks, but I've been very busy, And when I haven't been busy, I've been getting fucked up, which again is not a very healthy choice, but it's the choice I've made. So, like now, much like right now. And honestly, I'm very surprised that I am as coherent as I am, because looking at the room around me, it's fucking... I cannot walk. I cannot get up and walk. This is going to be fun reviewing the audio to this, because I don't think I'm going to remember much, but could I drive? Maybe. I don't know. It depends. I did vote for Joe Biden, so I think I got some drunk driving credits to use up, whatever the fuck that means, but yeah. I've been like desperately trying to avoid politics, unless it's in reference to eight-legged freaks, of course, but politics fucking bum me out. I'll just say this right now, alright? Single-payer healthcare is common sense. Weed should be legal, alright? Voting rights, good. Alright, we'll leave it at that. We'll just cut it off there, alright? Yeah, I don't know what else to talk about, really. I guess, I'll rant a little bit here, but creatively speaking, I've been incredibly frustrated lately. Like, I have done a lot of stuff. I just released like a EP, I've been making some videos as much as I can, but I feel like I've kind of been like not making progress on new music, not making enough new videos, and one of the main things that's really pissed me off is I started writing these sci-fi stories when I was like young, like 14, 15 age, and they've developed and changed over time, but like my core ideas have remained the same. And so I'd say maybe like last year, kind of during COVID, I sat down and really started developing this like idea for a sci-fi universe with all these stories that are they're in the same universe, and they're somewhat connected, some more than others, but for the most part they're these standalone stories, and they focus on new characters and new locations. And sometimes, for very important characters, there'll be episodes that kind of like come back to them or whatever. And I'm writing it in like an episodic format, and it's like basically like my goal would be to make it like an animated series eventually. I was watching Batman in the animated series and like a lot of DCAU stuff when I was writing it, so that kind of like influenced it a little bit. And it started kind of more as like a book when I was younger, and now I've changed it into like a series format. Also, that's been obviously my main thing. That's what I've like put most of my energy towards for writing anyway. Also though, an interesting thing I did for, I'd say I've been writing these two things simultaneously since, obviously since I was like 14, 15, so it's been about 6 years, and I cannot say that I've made like any significant progress on either front at all. Like, I really haven't, outside of like some general ideas and concepts, but which kind of sucks. That's why I'm so frustrated, I'd say, because it's been like 6 years of like half-assing, like not making any progress and whatever. But the other story, I've been writing two stories. So the sci-fi universe thing, which has had many iterations. Like, it was a Star Wars fanfic at once, then it was like its own thing, it was a Star Wars thing again, now it's its own thing again. I'm going to keep it that way because I like it. And then I've also been writing a Flash, like the superhero Flash, not a fan fiction, I guess it's technically a fan fiction, but it's its own thing too, and it is also in like the style of like an animated thing, and that was more of like just a creative exercise to like write something, and obviously watching like DCAU stuff, that was a huge influence. So I've been writing this sci-fi universe thing and this Flash story thing. Both ideally would be like animated series and like episodic formats. The first Flash thing I wrote is actually, I think it's like 75 pages, and they say a page is like a minute, so I was thinking that'd be like a 75-minute like animated movie, and that'd be like the first episode of the series technically, which is like a movie, which I think would be cool, kind of like an origin story, like a big hero fight, and sets everything up. And then it would lead into a series. And then obviously with my sci-fi thing, that's just all like 20-minute, I say 20-minute, but like 20 2-page stories. I got some really cool ideas. They take for fucking ever to write. God, my throat's fucking dry from all this fucking talking. Basically, my point is I have these 2 significant, like, stories. Obviously, one is more original than another because the other one's fan fiction, which is still, I think, fun and fine. It's kind of cool to have my own take on it. Especially considering he's my favorite superhero, and I feel like he's never really been done justice. I really do like his portrayal in the DCAU, but he wasn't, like, as important enough as he probably should have been, in my opinion. And then also, I don't really care for the Ezra Miller take on it. It's just kind of like meh. I hate the fucking TV show. I love the 90s TV show. I did think that was really good, so... and then that's the one that I grew up watching, so actually, that's probably why I have such a biased opinion on it. Same with the DCAU one, that's what I also grew up watching. But he wasn't as, like, much of a major character in those shows and stuff, so whatever. But, anyway, I have my take on it. I think that this is, like, the best version of The Flash that's ever been done. It's very good. It's really cool. I took a villain that's not very popular, like a Flash villain that's not very popular, read about him a lot, and I made him like this fucking like power god. And I kind of combine it with his job as like a forensic detective. I did keep the Barry Allen thing and, you know, kind of like the general format, but I changed up a lot of stuff and took characters from different places and threw them in. Characters from like the comics, the shows, like all kinds of different stuff. So, yeah, it's good. And I'm not just saying it's good because I wrote it, and I'm obviously, like, generally I'd say I'm very critical of myself, but, like, if I can get this refined and formatted, I'd have a really good idea for, like, a little Flash animated series and movie. And then, yeah, with my sci-fi thing, that's way more original. Each episode explores, like, different themes. My favorite one, and the one I've developed the most that I'm still working on, I'd say I'm working on 3 episodes right now, and I haven't made much progress on 2 of them, but one I've developed pretty far. And yeah, anyway, the one that I would imagine being the first episode follows this detective on a remote colony investigating like a serial killer case. So it's basically like the serial killer in this like small town out in like the edge of space, and it's just fucking really cool. I got like a lot of cool ideas for that. But yeah, anyway, sorry for the incoherent drunken ramble about my creative projects, but that is what this podcast is all about. And hopefully someday I can develop them a little bit more. I'm going to film school, so who knows? Maybe those ideas will come in handy. Alright, so my throat's getting pretty fucked up. I don't know if you can hear it, but it's like fucking shredded. I should not have talked that much. But yeah, that was honestly like pretty fun. Kind of a short little episode. 30 minutes of it's me recapping the entire Eight-Legged Freaks movie, but who knows, maybe some of this will be good. But I think I'm going to end it here. I'm pretty fucked up. My throat's fucked. Thank you if you listen to everything. This is episode 2 of the B5 podcast, signing off. Remember, what's some advice I could leave you with? What's some advice I could leave you with? God, I can't fucking talk. Here's my advice, alright? If you order pizza, get mushrooms on it. Boogie Bot 5 out, motherfuckers.